PLo, what's happening?
Here we are.
We're rolling.
Live.
Hadn't done a live in quite a while. So it's fun to be back. We got two fantastic guests that are going to join us before long. But let's go ahead. Everybody's been waiting, so we're 12 minutes late or so, which is pretty normal for how we roll.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works.
So let's go ahead and get to the show.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Top Talk. Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to another episode of To the Top Talk, brought to you by Yuengling Flight. To the Top Talk is the original and longest-running Southern Miss podcast in the market. We're recording this episode on, PLo?
Wednesday, May 13th.
From beautiful Hattiesburg, Mississippi, here as always with your break from the High Resource 4 propaganda to talk a little Southern Miss athletics. I'm your host, Jason Bailey, and that guy right there is the one and only Patrick Lowry.
Hey, glad to be back.
Nice wedges.
Nice wedges.
Bet you hadn't heard that before.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we're not talking about shoes.
Today's episode is brought to you by Yuengling Flight. Yuengling Flight is a premium light beer brewed by DG Yuengling & Son Incorporated, the oldest brewery in America. 95 calories, only 2.6 grams of carbs, 4.2% ABV per 12-ounce serving. Crisp, clean, refreshing taste, now available in 12-ounce slim cans and screw-top 16-ounce pints. Pick yourself up some Yuengling Flight today.
Yeah.
Well, what happened since the last time that we recorded? Well, baseball kind of remained hot, right? Mm-hmm. If there's a time of year where you want to get hot, this is the time. And we are rolling in that regard. Golf found out where they are headed for the NCAA tournament. First time ever. The men have made that, so way to go. It's rained like a whole lot, you know. Every time I turn around, it's pouring down rain outside and tornado warnings and that whole thing. The Sun Belt Conference baseball race got a whole lot more interesting after last weekend. You know, Coastal was kind of running away with it, but now here we are, right here at the end.
Sure.
PLo, before we intro our guest, if you want to explain to everyone kind of what we're doing with the live and how they can participate.
Yeah, for sure. So, already seeing some comments come in. We are in the midst of working on getting a dedicated phone number. So when we do these lives, you guys will be able to dial into a number, and we're working on that. So, for right now, it's just going to be if you want to get in touch with us during this live, just comment on either YouTube, Facebook, or X, and just like our good friend Cleverleaf Mall saying, "Evening, gents." What up, Cleverleaf? Yeah. So that's the way we're going to do it tonight because I'm in charge and deal with it.
There you go. Very nice, PLo. Laying the law down. Okay, so the guests that we have on tonight, we've had these guys on before. And you know, we should have them on more often, honestly. But they are Southern Miss through and through. In fact, all four of us combined have 327 hits in USM history. You know, so that's very cool. The first of which tonight, let's go ahead and bring in the hit king himself, Mr. Trey Sutton.
Oh boy. There we go. There he is.
Hey, nice. Coach, how are you?
We're good. We're good.
Fantastic. And last but not least, the guy with the longest email address in the history of the world. I typed it wrong like 3 times, Mr. Jason Baker.
What's up, Bump?
What's happening? So, Bake, how'd you get that email address? I know you're an insurance guy, like insurance by day, Southern Miss by night, by day.
That's right. You just create a good insurance agency name, the Simply Insurance Agency, and tag that thing at the end of the app. Stick it in there between the .coms, and there you go.
Very nice. So for all of your insurance needs, go see our boy Jason Baker. So guys, how's it going? Trey, I saw Liam walking around before we started there. You been out in the backyard kind of getting some cuts in?
Yeah. Baseball season's over for us. So now it's kind of reached the end of your season, and you just finally have some time to not be stressed out 24/7 about 16 and 17-year-old kids doing what you want them to do. And so it allows for a little bit more time and mental mental focus on some of the more fun things like hitting in the backyard.
There you go. And Bake, I'm sure a little less stress in your life as well now. Lauren's doing well and completely
She
through the
is.
cancer treatments. Yeah.
We're done with treatments. She will go tomorrow afternoon and find out kind of the next steps for reconstruction. And yeah, man, life is certainly good now that we've got the treatment of her breast cancer behind us for sure.
Awesome news. So, I mean, let's jump right into it. So the show tonight's going to be focused around baseball mostly. We're sitting here right in the thick of it again, probably really in better shape than we've been maybe ever. But a question to both of you guys, I guess, Bake, you can start it off, but how likely is it for Southern Miss to host?
Highly.
Yeah, is it set in stone? Are we going to be a top 8 seed?
I don't think it's set in stone, but I think if we can do what we need to do this weekend, I don't really think there's much to do with it once we get to Montgomery other than where we'll seed in terms of numerical order. But yeah, I think you just take care of your business this weekend, finish 1 or 2 in the Sun Belt Conference, and I think there's going to be a regional in Hattiesburg. I do. I just think the resume is too strong. It doesn't matter what takes place in Montgomery. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you want to leave it up to chance, but I think our resume is good, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I was on you guys or whatever, another podcast, whatever, but we built this thing, man, early and got us off to the start. And we gave ourselves a long leash to be able to handle some adversity. And then now we've turned it back on. And here we are playing great baseball right at the right time. And I think the national pundits, have rewarded this team for the start that they've had and the consistency this team's had. And I think when it's all said and done, I think you lay our resume out there, and I think it's a top 10 to 12 seed resume at the moment. And I think you could improve upon it if you want. And they do. I think they'd love an opportunity to play a team that we've not played yet for the title. And so you beat them on a Sunday afternoon and maybe you're a top 8 seed. I don't know, but I think that's certainly within grasp. But I think we're a top 14 to 12 seed as we talk today.
Very good. Yeah, I mean, it's a wonder, kind of looking back, and Sutton, maybe you can start off with this one, but from where this team started the year, and then through a lull, if you want to call it a lull, kind of in the middle into where they are now. I mean, you have been kind of at the center of a lot of that attention, like as far as Twitter goes, a lot of times taking up for Southern Miss and just saying, hey, look, it's a long season and all the things that coaches say, but can you frame that for the people watching right now and listening to this later, just kind of all that I just said, like where we started to the middle of the story to now kind of getting towards the end? Can you frame that from a coach's perspective?
Yeah, and I'll echo what Baker said too. To me, it's all about the body of work, and the body of work in a 60-game season takes a while to play out. And so you have different periods of the season where you either feel really good about it. There's periods of the season where you don't feel really good about it. But when you step back and you look at game 1 to game wherever we are now, he just asked if I could play with him. Look, I'm on.
Heck yeah.
Here.
Make your debut, kid.
He doesn't want to give me a few minutes. But the body of work for me, I think is you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have good stretches, bad stretches, and I think to Baker's point, the good stretch that we had to start the season. Not only was it a good stretch, but it was a good stretch against a lot of quality opponents that have held their value. Those wins and those games have held their value for the entire season. You're talking about Oregon States and Alabama's, Mississippi State's, Ole Miss, Santa Barbara. I mean, all those teams, even like Purdue and Baylor.
Yeah, sure.
It's not like those were slouch teams either. So you go 15-2 out of the gate against the quality of teams that we played, and it's reflected in the non-conference RPI for the whole season too, because I think we're still sitting I hadn't looked at it today or yesterday, but we've been in the top 5 non-conference RPI. I would assume it's still there. So I think when, I echo everything Baker said a minute ago. As far as where we sit, I think we're sitting in a great place with an opportunity to even improve upon it. And like he said, if we take care of business, if we take care of business, we'll be playing postseason baseball in Hattiesburg again. But it's hard as fans, and I'm a fan too, whether people believe it or not. I'm a fan too. I get the frustrations and everything that comes with losing to teams that you feel like you should beat. But baseball is also a different game. There's more parity, I feel like, in baseball than in any other sport, and just the game itself is one that. How many times do we see teams like Bethune-Cookman beat Florida this year, and somebody else beat Florida? Like, just throw an example, but it's hard. I mean, and everybody at the D1 level can beat you. So, yeah.
And I'm telling you, early in the year, and Trey, you know this, like when you're on top of a pedestal and you've gotten off to this hot, incredible start, and there's all this notoriety and there's all this pub and there's everybody talking about, look at this team, look at who they are, here they come. Like, man, what I'm telling you right now, and this, I don't mean this any bit disrespectfully to Arkansas State at all. But bro, when I tell you they treated that like the World Series, I mean, they treated it like and look, they should have. Number one, if I remember right, they hadn't had a win at home over a ranked opponent in like 20-something years. They had not beaten a ranked opponent in a series in like 30 years. It was something crazy. And they got this young coach in Mike Silva that's only been in his second year. And so they're showing these leaps and bounds and growth. And so here comes this top 10 team into the country, into their stadium. And I mean, they literally reacted that way, right? As they should. But I also think it was a telling sign that, hey, this team got way up to be able to beat the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. And, sometimes that crap's hard. You just go on the road and you're walking into a buzzsaw. I think there's been teams that have come in here before. Go back to the year we lost the state in the regional, and then we turned around and played them in the first 3 games of the season the very next year, and we sweep them at the Pete, right? Well, we were amped up. We were getting our get back, right, against them. And so I think there was a lot of that early, and I think some of that needed to be accounted for. And then, baseball's baseball, as Trey said, and I think there's just going to be momentarily waves where you're just not playing your best, and you just got to hope to survive it, and you hope to shorten it, and you hope to come out of it as quickly as you possibly can if you're talented enough. Some teams never come out of it. Look at Arkansas State. They're fighting to get to Montgomery right now. They were red hot to start the conference schedule, right? And so I think that's where you just have to take that pause and say, are we playing well? I don't think when we were playing 500 baseball, we were playing poor baseball. I just think we were playing 500 baseball. One night the hitting was on and the pitching was off. One night the pitching was on and the hitting was off, right? Or maybe more so one way than the other. So I just think over the time in a collective body of work, I just think you realize this team's really good, y'all. Ask yourself, which one of those guys do you trust as you go down the lineup? I trust a lot of them, and now if the 9 hole is going to get complete in this order and it looks like it's starting to find its rhythm, I trust pretty much all of them. And so I think I think you just have to remind yourself of that as the waves and ebbs and flows of a baseball season take place. And I think you have to, at a certain point, you have to give your opponent some credits too, because they're Division I athletes too, and they're ready to play baseball too. And I think it's a big win for those teams. And I don't mean that disrespectively to those schools. I just mean you carry a little number out in front of your name and it's a single digit, and they get up for those kind of things.
Well,
it's like us in basketball back in the day, right? Playing Memphis. Much more big of a deal for us, right? Much
Absolutely.
More. So,
well, and that comes with like the success this season, yes. The number in front of our name this season, yes. But also it comes with look at what we've done the last decade. and even more. Like, people know who we are. People, there's a target on us anyway. And then the start that we had and the season that we were having, and like Baker said, the number in front of our name, that all just adds to, that's just part of it. And you can call it a feather in your cap a little bit that you're that well known by people that they get up to play you. But you got to be able to handle it. And we have, and, you know, I remember telling somebody, it's been a week or two ago, but the stretch of 500 baseball that you talked about where, you know, Baker, you said, like, and I agree, like, we weren't playing awful. It was just like 500 baseball there for a little while. Yeah. But you look at the first 17 games of the year, and that's the team that I know is still in. Like, that team's in there. And so what your hope is that, you know, some people call it the hot, cold, hot theory. If we're on that, then great. But the team that won 15 of their first 17 against the schedule that they played is in there. And so you just hope here at the end that team is what we have in June playing, because it's in there. That team's in there. It's in that locker room. And if we're doing that, it's going to be we're going to be a problem for a lot of people.
And, you know, like nobody would really think about it in this sense, right? But we started off 15-2, and one of those losses was against the best arm in the country, and quite possibly that has ever towed the rubber at Pete Taylor Park, right?
Yeah,
so like
Jackson Flora.
Absolutely, right? And so, I mean, like, that's what this team had in them. And I love Trey's point, that team's there. I think this team's actually got a little extra gear than what that team was at the start, because I think the rotation was this kind of question mark at the beginning of the year. If you thought Colby was going to be great on the front end, that was just your opinion from taking him from the pen. We really didn't know how he would translate as a starter. So, like, I don't think, or at least I didn't think, starting pitching would necessarily be our strength. And especially when I found out that Sundstrom was going to be the stopper out of the pen, when I kind of thought maybe he would end up being the starter. So, like, now that the rotation's in order and your All-American piece is back in the bullpen, I actually think this team has a potential to be a little better even than what we were at the beginning of the year, because now you look at the length that the starting pitching is beginning to give this team. What it's doing is the most talented bullpen. I think if it's not the most talented pen in the country, it's one of the most talented pens in the country. And they're getting rest. They're getting right. Oz is working his magic. Leger's doing the same thing. Crabtree's on the back end of this thing now in the pen, and I think he looks elite for a 3 to 6 out sprint. So I think this team's got another gear in it, and you know, as they're going that way, it feels like they're fixing to really put the pedal to the metal.
No doubt. I heard you say that, I think on air. I can't remember. I guess it was with Cox that you mentioned that Crabtree, when he can go like full effort, right, for a shorter amount of time, that fits him better. And I think I think
he fits his stuff better. I think the splitter shape, and I mean, look, I'm sitting here staring at a baseball coach like, what am I to be doing this? But like the splitter shape, right, with his fastball shape, to me, he needs the ability to throw those in what I call the red line. He needs to be max effort, chunking the ever-loving snot out of it, putting it in the zone, commanding it, because and Russell's sort of the one that's taught me this, is the splitter, really, you don't want it to find the zone. You want it to show like it's in the zone and it end up out of the zone. The fastball, he needs to command in the zone, and he's had elite fastball command all year. That has not been Crabtree's issue at all. And so now, like, this max effort sprint where he knows, like, I can just go full throttle and just come in. He doesn't have to waste a lot of pitches and toy with a breaking ball that I don't think he really just commands great. Instead, Crabtree can just come in there and it's 2-seam, 4-seam splitter, and they just don't have enough time to figure out the adjustment and get to it, because that splitter looks so good and it looks so much like the fastball that they think it's mid-thigh, belt high, and then all of a sudden it's at their ankles and they just can't touch it. And I think it's about 9 miles per hour difference between his fastball to his splitter in terms of velocity, and that's really problematic.
It is nice to have a conversation about, when we're talking about all this stuff, and we are pretty far down the list of guys that we are going to depend on that still have the kind of stuff that Baker's talking about, right? Is that that's our superpower, is the depth of arms, correct?
Yeah. List them, Baker. You got Crabtree, Ock, Armistead, Colby, Sibley. There's more I'm not thinking of. And then you got guys.
Broadhead, Bruce.
Yeah, you got guys with stuff.
Logan Pratt.
Yeah, any of those guys have the stuff to go out there and throw up some zeros. And I think, you were talking about Crabtree. I think he's been a huge piece to figure out on the back end. And like Baker said, the hitters don't have time to adjust to the split. Like he's coming in, it's the splitter and it's the fastball, and they don't get it. They're not going to see him twice. So it's one at bat. They're not going to have time, like Baker said, to make that adjustment the next time up because they're not going to see him twice. Probably they're like he's coming in for 3 to 6 outs, and that's a tough pitch to like. Here's this guy, he's on the mound, and I've got to see this splitter now. And so it's just a really hard pitch to and I think they have found, just like Oz always does, like they have found where he fits, just like all these other guys. By the end, they found where he fits, and where he fits is coming in for 3 to 6 outs and just throwing the heck out of the splitter.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to answer this question right now, and I think we have been for the last couple of minutes, but I'm going to throw it back out there. Kind of piecing the puzzle together, and what goes into that, and how has it unfolded for Oz this season with this group?
The Camden Clark move is pretty good.
Yeah. Obviously, clearly everybody can point to the because when they moved Cam to the rotation, it was coupled with that was going to be moving Colby back to the pen. And you've got a guy in Colby who, we've seen what he can do out of the pen, and he was good as a starter, but that was obviously a move that the coaching staff felt like, Camden would have been good to, continuing to come out of the pen, and Colby would have been fine as a starter, but they wanted to try that, and it's clearly worked. And they've been able to, I think, lengthen Camden out pretty quickly. He threw what Baker did. He get to 100 pitches this past weekend?
Not this weekend, but he threw 105 in the 15K game against Monroe. So,
which that was, what did he throw, like 83? I've never seen 83 strikes up on the scoreboard.
The 83%. He was like 80-something% strike.
It's at one point, it was 100 pitches, 80 strikes, 20 balls. I remember seeing that flash up.
Yeah,
and make no bones about it, too. Like not only Colby in the pen, but Cross Sibley's ability to be a stopper, to be a multi-inning guy, the same for Ock, the same for Armistead, really created the ability for Christian Ostrander to say, okay, let's try this. What's funny is he waited about 2.5 weeks from the time that he began to talk about it with the staff and myself and Jack Duggan. He really began to tell us, this is what I want to do. And he kind of waited for his moment. And that's, to me, it's what makes Oz who he is, man. He's the best pitching mind in the country, that he doesn't just – it's not just this, okay, well, this isn't working, let's try this. It's a very highly calculated move that he understands could put recourse through the team, right? Maybe it doesn't work, and then what, right? So he waits for those special moments, and I remember the day that he told me he was going to finally do it. He also told me he did it on a Sunday. He made his debut on a Sunday, and he immediately told me, now look, if it works, he's going to Saturday the next weekend. And I asked him why that was, and he was like, well, there's still a real temptation for me to use him on the back end if it's a Sunday. Come Tuesday, I may want to try to see if I can get a 3-out sprint with him, or maybe on a Friday. And so he was like, there's a real temptation there. And he was like, so I want to put him where I won't be tempted. And I think his shape really complements coming after what they've seen with Graydon. You put him in, and Graydon's been a lot more sync lately. And so now Camden's riding it to the top of the zone. And so it's just a contrasting look. So he had all these things thought through on what his next move was going to be, right? And so that's what I just say sometimes, like, man, just the appreciation that I have for who Christian Ostrander is and his coaching staff, because the coaching, it's not just the head coach. We're doing this. I mean, he consulted with Leger, he consulted with Trav, he consulted with Ladd and Brewer and said, here's what I'm thinking. What do y'all think? And, eventually they all were, or not eventually, I think they were all for it the moment it was brought up. And they finally just unanimously decided, hey, today's the day and here he comes. And so I think that's the beauty of a season. And I think that's the beauty of the story of, the journey. And that's what I try to tell some fans sometimes, like, just appreciate sometimes the struggle, because when you come out of the struggle and you find a piece, like, soak in that moment. I'm sure back in March, there were people freaking out, like, what are we going to do with this rotation? It's not extending enough. Those same people were standing, clapping while Camden Clark was striking out 15 a couple Saturdays ago, right?
Absolutely. Had a comment come in here from Jeff Ferris. Said this team has another 15-2 record now in their last 17 games. Not many teams can say they had 2 streaks during the same season that can claim that. We're set up for a regional with our pitching. So I agree.
Yeah, I think if we sweep the weekend, it'll be 15-2 over the last. So right now we're 12-2 in the last 14.
Gotcha. Thanks for that comment, though, Jeff.
But great comment. That's a great point.
So let's, you mentioned this word earlier, RPI, and here lately, tis the season, right? I don't know if Oz just doesn't want to deal with it, so he doesn't schedule these midweek games that can possibly be weather related cancellations. But what are your thoughts on RPI and the weather cancellations? I mean, how would you fix it? There seems to be zero repercussions. I know the NCAA put that letter out there on social, but I read it and I'm like, okay, so you're not going to do anything, right? That's like if I tell my son, Jack, don't do this again, mister, or else. I don't know if that holds much weight, but if I say, if you do that again, no iPad for a month, there's a little bit more to it. So what are your guys' thoughts on how to, I don't know, fix it or whatever the word is for this situation?
Yeah, I think one aspect of it is, like, I do think it's a broken system in a way. I don't like about the RPI system that you get penalized for a win, as in, if you studied or looked at RPI much, like this weekend when we played Georgia Southern at home, even winning those games, we're going to lose RPI points. That doesn't necessarily mean you're dropping spots, but you're losing RPI points. And so essentially you're being penalized for winning a baseball game. I don't like that, really. I wish the system would be tweaked so that somehow they find a way to maybe not reward you for the win, but not penalize you for the win. So I do think the system needs tweaking. I'm not smart enough or whatever to figure out exactly how to do that in a lot of ways. But on the flip side of that, I'm of the opinion that if you schedule the games that you schedule, you should honor your commitment and play the games.
Sure.
And I think that I get why they do it. But again, like to your point, they do it because there's no repercussions for canceling it. If there was some kind of – if you were penalized in a way or you lost RPI points that you would have lost, I doubt you would see as many people doing it.
Sure. Blake, anything to add on that?
Yeah. Well, I'll answer this question. To me, I put it on these coaches as well. Like, get your schedule right. Get your schedule right in the end. We are not playing midweeks 100% by design. Christian Ostrander doesn't want to play them. He wants to be able to get the rotation in order, the bullpen in order. He wants them rested. He wants them ready. He knows, if we've done enough through the portion of our schedule the midweeks are, then you should be rewarded for that. And then you should get yourself ready for the next sprint that's fixing to come. Because when you flip this conference tournament on, man, like it's a rush, man. It's fast and it's you're going to get to Montgomery on a Tuesday and you could be there till Sunday. Then you go home. You're going to find out where you're playing on Monday. And then here we go, right? All the chips are in the middle of the table, and here we go. So to me, it's by design, 100%. And Oz will tell you that to your face, that yes, it's 100% by design. And, certain coaches may have different theories, and that's fine. But like, don't back away from that theory when you scheduled this game at the back end because you thought you'd need it, play it, right? Or if you don't think you're going to need it, don't schedule it. Get them away. And, I think we played a double midweek early in the year. Yeah, the State Nichols. That's by design. Wasn't ideal. We 1-1 that week, right? Lost to Nichols, beat State. And so Oz does that intentionally, and he doesn't shy from it. Like, there's full intent on the way this schedule is completely laid out. And I believe next year's schedule is pretty much complete, and it's going to look very much the same again next year as well.
Well, and like the double midweeks you're talking about, how it's not ideal because you're playing 5 games in a week. But to back up what you've been saying about Oz, everything he does is calculated. He's using those games early to figure out who are the guys I can use, especially on the mound, because you're going to get stretched in those weeks that you play 5 games. There's just no way around it. And I think you see that, especially in those early midweek games. There were several games where we were running out. It was like an arm an inning. So it was like, hey guys, y'all go get a taste of it. Let's see what you can do. But he always like there's a plan. And it's like I tell people too, he and the coaching staff have so much more information and data and context with which to make the decisions that they're making than anybody. So none of the things that they do, whether it be offensively, pitching, any of that, scheduling, none of it is done just throwing stuff on the wall and seeing where it sticks. So it's all like those double midweeks early, and then couple that with we don't play midweeks at the end. It's all part of the grand scheme and figuring out who can do what early. And then on the back end of the season, having time to rest the guys that you've whittled it down to, that he's whittled it down to, the guys that he knows he's going to have to count on here towards the end, getting them or having them rested and ready to go going into the last few weeks.
And, Sutton, this as a coach, right? Sometimes I think there's some deliberation to it to where it's intentful what he's doing for this team so that they can learn from it. When you asked him about I've asked him about the double midweek and would he have loved to play Nichols after Mississippi State? No. But you know what? What happened. And it was his greatest fear of what would happen, right? You get this culminating type moment, this big win against Mississippi State where, I can remember the most stressed I've ever seen Russell in the TV booth was that night. It was like every single pitch was high intensity, just on the edge of your seat, just hanging on every pitch. It was just intense. And then you have to show up to the park the next day, and you have to figure out a way to get yourself mind right mentally. And I'll be the first to admit, and I've talked about this with Oz, and he's admitted it, and others have admitted it. It was extremely difficult to focus on the kernels of Nichols and get yourself mentally ready for another ball game, another 9-inning affair. Well, what does that sound like, right? That sounds like you get this big culminating type win in a regional or in a tournament, and then you're going to have to get yourself back focused again the next day. And so what's he going to do? If we have that moment, he's going to get the point and say, don't forget what happened to us, right? Early in the year, we had this big win moment. You can't fall flat the next day. And so there's true purpose and intent in the way that schedule's laid out. And there's little things in there. Oz is And I've known the other ones. I didn't know Hill Denson when he was coaching. I've known him since then. But, I covered Corky. I covered 40. Oz is – and I don't want to take anything away from those dudes. They were Hall of Famers. But, Oz is a thinker. And it's sometimes I almost kind of wonder if he's, a little bit too far down the road. But that's who he is. He wants to think these scenarios through. And there's full intent on why he's doing it for the purpose of what he's doing it for. And he's one thing I love about him is he's not afraid of it. He's not afraid to let that team fail. He's not afraid to put a kid out there and let it fail and see what happens or let a team fail. He's not afraid to learn from a loss. Does he want to lose? Heavens no. but like he's not afraid to put a kid in there, a freshman arm, and put him. I mean, Saturday, right? We're sitting in I think it was Saturday, Friday, whatever it was. We're in a 10-run game, right? 11-0. And he starts running this freshman in there. Well, I'm trying to remember who gave up the run. I think it was KL Farr that might have gave up the run, or Sam Mitchell, somebody, and they were pissed. And he told me afterwards, he was like, yeah, I loved it. Like, I loved that he was pissed. And I got the opportunity to talk to him the next day and tell him, hey, look, man, like, you don't think I'm going to put you in these moments. Like, you don't know what I'm going to do in this regional, or you don't know what I'm going to do in this tournament. And so there's full intent on that. And sometimes I do it, he'll go get a guy out the pin and I'm like, I didn't have him trotting in here. Right. Yeah. But like, there's reason behind that. I mean, he had a reason why he didn't throw cross civilly this weekend, and he told me why. And so he did throwing, there was intent there.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, we've been talking about it on the show. It seems like the last couple of weeks that, I mean, you aren't going to see, Graydon Harris throw a championship game, right? You're going to, it's those guys towards the end of the pin that, I mean, Broadhead, you brought him up. We have so many arms that people I think would kill for, and they're just now dipping their toe in the water for us, but it's there. The stuff is there, right? And all the things like Sutton talked about, priming these guys for a situation that the way the season's going is probably going to come up. So at least you have some sort of an idea. Maybe you've prepared them mentally, but let's recap what happened last weekend, and let's throw out. So tonight we're going to do a special thing. Usually PLo and I we vote for our own players of the week. What we've asked these guys to do is to
just get the music ready.
Yeah, well, we're going to recap all the games before we do this, so don't jump the gun. But
I'm not jumping the gun.
So there's going to be 4 points handed out, if you will, tonight. So there's to be some major jumps. So just in case, say I go first, I might talk somebody out of taking the guy that they were going to pick. We're going to flash up our picks at one time, and PLo is going to update all this, I guess, live. Can you do that on the fly, PLo?
Yeah.
But first of all, let's talk about what happened last week. Baseball sitting at 37-14, 19-8 in the league. We've won 6 in a row now, hottest team in the league. If there's a time you want to get hot, this is the time. So the series versus James Madison, sweep for the second straight weekend, 40 wins for a 10th consecutive year. Looks like it's probably going to happen. Very, very, very likely, I would say. One game, 8-5. Had a 6-run 7th that really helped out. Jerb goes 2 for 5. Russo 2 for 4. With the go-ahead runs knocked in there in the 7th. Trey Barrett's heating up towards the end of the year, 2 for 4. He had a big home run there. All these guys, when they start to get it back, you start to see a lot of that up the middle and backside action in their swing, not just trying to get pull happy, right? Seems like everybody kind of went through that and is beginning to correct it, here towards the end. Graydon Harris looked good again. He got touched up just a little bit more than normal, but still 0 walks, 3 strikeouts. And that's when guys like Army come in. Baker mentioned him just a minute ago. Ock actually credited with the win. He goes to 5-2 this season. Colby Allen did the Lord's work. 3 innings, 0 hits, 0 runs, 1 walk, 6 Ks, right? So that is fantastic. Game 2, PLo, you want to run us through that one?
Yeah, definitely.
It's a really fun one to run through.
Yeah, I usually get the non-fun ones, but I'm excited about this. Fight at the Bat Rack won this one 11-1. Yeah. 11 hits for USM, just 3 for James Madison. A lot of doubles and a lot of homers. Not a 15 strikeout day, but still a dominant outing for Clark. Joey Urban starting to find it again, like we said earlier. He goes 3 for 5 with 2 runs, a double, and a 3-run bomb. He has 3 RBIs. Morrison goes 2 for 5. Gillespie 0 for 2, but 3 walks and a run. Russo,
that's still a very productive day, right?
Yes. Russo 1 for 1 with 3 runs, 2 walks, and 2 hit by pitches.
Yeah.
Another on the bases a ton. Barrett 2 for 5. He's got it going how we thought he would all season. Higdon again is locked in. He goes 2 for 4, 2 runs, a double, and a 3-run shot. Odom adds a sack fly. A lot of unselfish at bats here lately, producing runs. Stockman hit by pitch, but he also produced an RBI. Like we said, Cam Clark goes off again, goes 6 innings, no runs, 1 walk, 9 Ks. Broadhead comes in with a clean 7th, and Mitchell and Farr finish it out.
And then game 3, completed the sweep 10-5, 14 hit day, and really just that one mistake, right? It was a grand slam given up, but even at that point, USM was kind of always in control. I felt like, I never felt like it was kind of in question. Gillespie 3 for 5, Russo 2 for 4 again, hit by another pitch, shocker. Higdon goes 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs, sac fly, stolen base, Mr. Everything. Ty Long got in the game, 2 for 4 with a run scored, with his top button flapping in the wind. Seth Smith had 2 sacrifice hits, right? That's what the part of that unselfish stuff that PLo was talking about. Sonny literally looked fine outside of that one mistake that went for a granny. But 5 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk, 4 Ks. Even when these guys have a bad day, you don't look up and you're like, well, that's why he walked 6 people, right? They're still all over the zone, strike throwers. Ock threw 2, very clean, no walks, 3 Ks. Crab finished it out. Bake was talking about him earlier, 2 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. So your guys, I tell you, before we pick our players of the week, what do you guys, we'll start with you, Trey. Your thoughts on the series versus James Madison?
Obviously a good week. Anytime you sweep on the road in conference, that's a good week. It doesn't matter who you're playing. It's hard to win conference series on the road. That's another thing I'm not sure if people fully understand is how difficult it is to win a conference series on the road, much less sweep a conference series. So anytime you do that, you feel good about what happened. I feel like the weekend really turned early on Friday. Friday was kind of in the balance. Like, we were down pretty late, and Russo had the big double down the left field line. I can't remember the exact situation. I can't remember if it was 2 outs or 1 out, but the dude just it was a 2-strike count. I want to say it was a lefty on the mound. They brought a left on left in, and just not trying to do too much, and and just took what he was given. And how many big hits has he had this year and in his career? And that was a big one, because I feel like from that point on, the entire weekend shifted. Once we took the lead in that Friday game, the entire feel of the weekend, like you said, Saturday was a blowout, and then Sunday, even though they hit the grand slam to kind of get back in it, you never felt like the game was very much in question. So momentum's a real thing, and to the point of what we were talking earlier, on Friday, top team in the country coming in, they're probably up to play it, even though they don't have a whole lot to play for, but they find themselves with a lead late in the game, and then you have a guy come up with a big hit in a big situation, and it just flipped the momentum for the entire weekend is what it felt like to me, because from that point on, it never felt like it was in doubt.
Bake, you took that charter flight over there, right? So what was that flight like?
But I'll get to that. Well,
okay.
I didn't get to take the charter, so those charters are limited seats. So myself, Jack Duggan, John Cox, and Lloyd Lunsford actually flew commercial. Okay. Gave up our seats. We didn't voluntarily give them up. We were just anyhow. We just weren't on the charter flight. But my understanding that charter flight was quite nice. But the good Lord was looking over for us. We got bumped to an earlier flight in Charlotte. We were able to get to the gate and talk ourselves to getting home on time versus having to spend the night in the Charlotte airport Sunday night because our flight was technically canceled. And so, but anyhow, yes, we took the trip. Great town. Highly recommend Harrisonburg. If you go downtown, it's just a great scene. We loved the trip, but Trey's dead on it. It flipped on Friday night. They went for it. JMU put their closer in the 5th. They went with their setup man behind him. They were going for the win on Friday. They knew that was their shot, and we broke their spirit, broke their back. They were 2 of their bullpen arms that were decent, And then they kind of knew they didn't have much else. And it showed all weekend long as this team continues to pummel arms that people think they should beat. Those arms should be able to get this team out. And this team continues to make adjustments. Everybody talks about Russo's moments and these big hits. And I always point you to, rarely is it a big pull side homer. Most of the time it's a ball up the middle, or in this case, it was beat down the left field line right over the third base bag. And what that tells me is that's a hitter slowing the game down, understanding what the situation's calling for, and then executing not to his strength, right? Because that's not necessarily who he wants to be, but with the shift and everything else under the sun that these teams have on this information platform that they know how to get him out with, you've got to go against all the information. And so, like, how many hits has he been robbed this year directly behind second base when they put a shortstop there, right?
Sure.
They're moving the 6 hole over. And that, to me, is just Matthew Russo slowing the thing down, understanding what it's going to take for his team to capitalize, and then executing in the moment. And, like, there's so much to that, right? Like, I mean, those people are trying to beat him under. I think teams right now are trying to get under those hands. And he just continues to not let them. He's either going to wear it or he's going to hit it, and he's going to hit it hard. And I think he's done a fantastic job of not letting the information frustrate him to where he's beating the ball into the shift and it's pissed him off. I know it's bothered him because he's been robbed of probably 20 hits this year, back up the middle and so forth. But he's just kept a level head, and he's going to make his adjustments, and then he's going to beat you. He's going to find a way late in the game to slow it down and get his mind ready and execute. And that's, so much of the time I hear Travis talk about that, like executing under pressure. And I think this team, one of its greatest strengths is their ability to do that. They're mature, they're patient. This is not a heavy strikeout team. They're swing and miss in there. Don't make any bones about it. But this is also a team that can productively get things done. I know people don't think we small ball enough. I think we small ball enough to make teams respect it. And I think we're pretty darn good at it when we try it. And so I think our percentages of conversion is much higher than what our opponents' conversion rates are against us when they're trying to play a little small ball and move runners and everything else. And I don't think this team gets enough credit for that.
Very well said. No, I appreciate both of those answers for sure. PLo, I tell you what, let's go ahead, since we've kind of went through what happened last week there, and we've heard some commentary. We've mentioned a lot of players' names. Let's go ahead and let's get to it. Let's get to the Player of the Week segment. The To the Top Talk Players of the Week segment is brought to you by Bourbon on Front, located at 206 Front Street in downtown Hattiesburg. Steaks, seafood, cocktails, and the only rooftop patio in downtown. Open every day but Monday. Call 601-336-7097 for reservations, private events, and catering, or you can visit them on the web at bourbon-on-front.com. Speaking of Bourbon on Front, that's where we were last night, right? Katie and I celebrated our 14th anniversary. It was fantastic. So good. Tuesday nights, they have the steak thing where it's $32, $34, something like that, for a steak and a side. You can't beat that at all.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was great. Saw Nelson, saw Aaron. Good times. They gave us, they made us a little card. Did you guys see that? I put it in the Discord group earlier. They gave us a little card and everybody signed it on the back saying happy anniversary. It was fantastic. So so Bourbon on Front, very nice place to go for every day or for special occasions. So
yeah,
check them out.
So like Jason said, I wanted to throw up the current leaderboard. This is where we are currently sitting. You can see in just a minute, I'm going to throw us back into those boxes where everybody can see it larger. And then we're all going to kind of reveal our pick of the week for this week. So right now, Harris, Colby, Gilly, Higdon are kind of in the lead with 3 votes each. Behind them, Jerb, Seth Smith, Trey, Cameron Clark, Kamo, all with 2, and then Bull and Sibley each have 1. So let me get us back into that other setup.
All right, and we'll do a drum roll. At the end of the drum roll, we'll all flash it up there. How about that? Everybody good?
I'm
Great.
good.
Here we go, and
Oh,
did everybody go Bull? No, wait. Three
No,
Bulls?
I went Higdon.
Ben Higdon.
I went Higgy.
3 Bulls and a Higgy. So Bull gets 3 points.
A great band name, Three Bulls and a Higgy.
All right, let me get this updated live here.
So, wow. So Russo is sitting there with 1, and he goes to 3. While he's updating that, I will start off, I guess. I mean, the big man is just shining right now, isn't he? He's just I think every team this team, not that this team has a singular leader, but I feel like he's maybe the spark plug, or if there's an overall leader, maybe he's the guy that fits that bill. Loves the Golden Eagles, gets on base. PLo talked about it, and Bake talked about him, wearing pitches, getting on base, unselfish at bats. He's always got that smile. I don't know. It's all kind of just running together for me. And not that Higdon doesn't have leadership ability. Jerb's got it. I think Gillespie's. I think up and down the lineup. Seth Smith, I think's got some of that in there. Stockman. There's a bunch of them. But for me, this past week, I felt like out of all of the players that I could possibly give it to, and a lot of them are very deserving, I feel like I have to convince myself not to give it to Higdon every single week. He's kind of become one of my favorite guys, but Russo ended up getting my vote, and for a lot of those reasons.
Yeah, I think for me, I'd echo everything you said. Two really good games. The one game, what was he, 1 for 1 or 0 for 1?
1 for 1, yeah.
Yeah, even to me, and look, this is all those guys out there make me proud, seeing them, what they're doing and how they're doing it. And, what they're doing is more than anything we ever did when I was playing. So let me say that first. Matthew Russo is a guy that I know I would have loved to play with because of all those things that you're talking about. He wants to hit the ball out of the yard. He's a big guy. That's not a fat joke. But he will wear pitches. He will take walks. He plays great defense. He just like the smile on it. Like he loves playing baseball. You can watch him play and know that he just genuinely enjoys being between the lines, wearing that uniform. And not that, like I said, not that the other guys don't. It just radiates from him for me. And I really, as a former player, I really appreciate that because I feel like it's a picture of what Southern Miss baseball is.
Hashtag SMTTT has chimed in and says 3 Bulls and a Higgy sounds like a hangover in the morning.
That's the wizard. The wizard.
Yeah, the wizard chiming in. No, yeah, very, very well said, Trey. Bake, do you want to go next? Kind of your reasoning behind
So I
your
went
pick?
Higdon. I went Higdon. Higdon's come on. I think I've talked about it a little bit in the last month or so. Not that I think he was terrible early in the year or anything like that, but I just think everything's just sort of getting in order for him. And he did this last year where, there probably weren't 10 hitters in the country that were hotter than Higdon last year as we began to sprint towards that regional. And I just think it's been coming along. I think he's been hitting. I actually think both him and Russo in the last 10 games are hitting over 400, if I remember that stat right for tomorrow's broadcast. And I think Higdon's hitting like 444. And then I thought a big moment. I thought we needed a sweep last weekend. You needed to find a way to get a road sweep. I don't necessarily think it like increased our chances of a regional or anything, but we just needed to go on the road. That we were a better team. It was proven that you had them on the ropes. And then Higdon's double, bases clearing double Sunday afternoon, I thought was just a massive swing at a massive moment. It was back against the setup guy, Kinsler, who was left-handed and a hard thrower. And Higdon worked it to 3-2 and then hammered that ball. I thought the ground rules meant the black part was actually gone. And so I thought it was a 3-run homer, but it was just a bases clearing 2 RBI double. But it was just a massive moment that was the final nail in the coffin and got the sweep. And I think what he's brought to this team is massive. You know, he moved to right field, wanted to, and really what that did was solidify 2 good quality corner outfielders in Gillespie and Higg. And so I think that's a very unselfish move because he spent all of last year learning how to play left field. And I think it's 2 different parks. Or certainly 2 different positions at Pete Taylor Park. You know, left field, not a lot of room. You got to worry about a wall. It's very tight. You got to make a lot of judgment decisions on how to play the caroms and different things like that. And then you go to right field and there's all kinds of room, but you got bullpen to navigate. And, you know, there's a lot of distractions in right field too that you get in that part of the world and at Pete Taylor Park. So I don't know, man. Higdon just was the guy that I felt like last week was the guy that really – every single time it seemed like his moment came up, he came through for this club and got us a road sweep.
He's another guy that I really wish we could have seen for 4 years, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no doubt. But you know what? That's why you gotta love the portal, babe. Like just think Joey Urban wouldn't be a Golden Eagle. Ben Higdon wouldn't be a Golden Eagle right now, right? K-Mo wouldn't be a Golden Eagle right now. So we, you know, the portal giveth and it taketh away too, right? And so we got to appreciate those moments and those dudes out of the portal because they're special.
PLo, you went with Russo?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think we talked about it too. It was that moment Friday in that game, and you know, a big moment from Matthew Russo. That's defined his career at Southern Miss, and we needed it. And like everybody has said already, I just think that was the turning point. And like from that moment on, I could breathe. I think the fan base as a whole breathed a little sigh of relief, and we really enjoyed Saturday and Sunday. So always.
And yes, well, so the final standings are Bull and Higgy are tied at 4 apiece. Well, fantastic. So all of those comments we just made, that really makes it worthwhile. I think, and seeing Bull jump up right there at the end is good stuff for sure. And we were going to do this about an hour. We're coming up on an hour right now. I'd like to remind everybody that's watching or listening, you can comment and your comments can be heard and we can throw them up. And if you have a question for Trey, if you have a question for Bake or for PLo or myself, you can throw those up there and we will get to it as soon as we can. I do want to talk about before we get out of here, Georgia Southern's coming up this weekend. I think I expected them to be better than they are. They're really bad, right? So we talked about RPI earlier. Well, they're dead last. PLo, do you have the standings pulled up? They're dead last in the conference. They kind of have like the exact opposite record that we do, I think. But if it's there they are right there. So Georgia Southern is sitting at 7-20 in the conference, 16-37 overall. They have won 2 in a row. You talk about somebody who's got nothing to lose. They would love nothing more than to come to the Pete and to put just kind of pee right in our cornflakes on the final weekend of the season. So, what do you know about Georgia Southern? Bake, you've probably done a lot of prep for this. What do you know about Georgia Southern? And just what happened? Like, why are they so bad?
Well, I don't know what's happened. I'll get that information in the morning. Actually, I talked with Rodney Hennon, their head coach, which first class, by the way, last place team in the league. He doesn't have to do that. They're playing their final 3 games of the year, and that's the kind of class that he is, that he's going to spend a little time with us to help our broadcast be a little better. So shout out to Rodney Hennon. I don't know. I really don't know. The pitching's been really bad. It's an 8.57 team ERA. That is 8.57 team ERA. Wow. I don't know that I've ever witnessed one of those from definitely not from a conference team, but They do have a freshman. He will be the freshman of the year. Brady Chrisman, I think is how we say his name. Oh, his stats are in front of me. Yeah, Brady Chrisman, incredible. Having a year, 12 homers, 43 RBIs. He's been insane. Perfect in the field, 1,000% fielding percentage, batting .404. So, I mean, they got a dude. So,
Holy portal,
yeah.
man.
Sounds like a future Golden Eagle.
So, to all those in the 16-ounce lounge, you might want to be nice to Mr. Crispin, if you would like to see him somewhere else. But
where does he play? Does he play right field?
Hold on, Sutton.
My bad. Sorry.
You're good. He plays left field.
Oh dang. Okay.
But I think he could play right. Maybe. I don't
We
know.
just went over
Figure
we just went over the Karams and all that and the bullpen.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah.
I'm
I don't
sure
know.
you could
But
hear
hey,
John Smith.
PLo, will you? PLo, I just need to do one thing though. Will you put those standings right back up there?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. There was a guy a couple of weeks ago. He tweeted at me. He was talking about Coastal Carolina was boat racing everybody, and I'm not real sure one game lead is really boat racing everybody. But what do you know, man? We got a chance at the end, which is all you really want. So I couldn't find the burner. I tried to find him in the Charlotte airport the other day just to make sure he was reminded of tweeting at me that Coastal Carolina was boat racing everybody. But
was this one of our burners or one of Coastal's burners?
No, definitely one of ours. I don't have any participation in the.
They have a tendency to overreact and
just a small one, Trey.
And then go completely silent.
Oh yeah.
After 6 wins in a row.
So I'm not sure who it was, and that's really irrelevant. Yeah, what's kind of irrelevant, or that's irrelevant. What he was saying. What is relevant is that 1 game lead up at the top, and one team has a home series, and the team that's in the lead currently has a road series. And I happen to like those odds when you start to break this thing down, because you know what, boys, our guys just stayed consistent and played well, and they have a real shot at a regular season title in the Sun Belt.
So when we were kind of going through our 500 ball or lull or whatever you want to call it, and teams could, there was blood in the water, and they were taken down that because we had a number next to our name and we were getting their best shot. Louisiana's fighting for their life right now, right? Coastal coming
I wouldn't call it fighting for their life. They're fighting for a regional, I guess, maybe if you want to call it. Although I don't know, like I don't see the resume there, but I guess they have one that they're. But
if you're going to have a shot,
yeah, they have a great opportunity with Coastal coming. Like if they win 2 of 3, or even better, that's huge for their postseason resume. So they're going to be playing with their hair on fire this weekend.
And they have a dude too. Now they've got Andrew Herman's as good as you'll find in this league as a pitcher. That's their Saturday guy. This week it'll be Friday. That'll be their Friday guy. And so they're more than capable of taking 2 or 3 or many more. I mean, Coastal Carolina. To me, like yes, they had this big lead and it was a 5-game lead at one point, but they've been good. But they've won some funky games too, man. They have a ton of 7th, 8th, 9th inning wins, late come from behind wins. And I'm talking about ambushing folks, down 6, scoring 7 runs in the 9th inning kind of deal. So they've not just been super, super elite and everybody made it out to be it was just they're running away with it. And so what's happened is the Cream's risen to the top. We're both the 2 best teams in this league. We're at the top of the thing. And now it's just a matter of let's see who can wrestle a title away and deserve it, because I think that's going to be the key, right? Is Coastal's got to go on the road and do something pretty special, I would think, or they're going to surrender their lead. And we just need to let Pete Taylor Park be Pete Taylor Park and be as magical of a place as it typically can be this weekend. And I think this team deserves a packed Pete Taylor Park. I think it deserves that, because if we can get that kind of energy and this team can perform in that environment and win all 3 games, who knows what's fixing to happen. And that's why you got to play them all. You don't short yourself any, and you say, hey, let's just play them all and let's see what happens before we head to Montgomery.
Yeah, I told somebody this week that I feel like this is going to be the first weekend that it's going to feel like, I think it is, and I think it should feel like postseason baseball this weekend. because of what we're playing for. As far as we talked about at the beginning of the show, you got to feel good about where you're at as far as a regional host, but you can still improve upon that. I mean, you could play really well this week, have a good week next week. You could find yourself in the top 8, and wouldn't that be nice to go into a regional knowing that if you win this thing, you're hosting the next one too?
Interesting
Oh, my
point by
gosh.
Cloverleaf there, where ULL is not mathematically in this Sun Belt Conference tournament yet. Is that right?
Yeah, it's because of the jumbled mess that's down there. You'd have to get into the tiebreakers, but yes, you could technically go all the way down to 11 and you would not make the tournament. Yes, that is technically correct.
Wowzers. Very good. PLo, you got this one?
This one, what?
Well, I just wanted, we have it highlighted there, but talking about this weekend and Trey mentioning that he wants it to be like a playoff atmosphere and all that. I want to know, Trey, I mean, do you remember your senior day? Senior day is on Friday, not Saturday. There was some confusion there, but it's on Friday at I think 5:00, 5:15, something like that.
Yeah.
Before the game starts. So, what do you remember about yours? And just, I mean, is that the time where you're sitting in the locker room, like kind of looking around, and you're looking in where you're sitting in your locker, and you're kind of watching or thinking about how your entire college career went? It's nearing the end. What do you remember about that?
There's you play so many games and you spend so many hours doing what you do in the 4 years or 5 years, however long you're there. And there's bits and pieces of it that you remember a lot more. I remember my first game very vividly. It was against Marshall when they were not in the conference yet.
Was that the fight game?
No, that was Louisville my junior year.
Louisville.
That was such a good game.
But it was Marshall. They started a righty. I'm just like, these are just like, because it was my first game. And then, there were some other games along the way that you remember a lot more than others. But that last game is one of them. And like I said, even for me, and I'm sure, these guys, even for me, you're kind of looking at the calendar and, you get into April and you start having thoughts of, man, I've got 2 more months of this. And then you get into May and you're like, I've got another month and a half of this. And then you get to the end of May and you're like, I ain't got much more of this. But we played, last weekend. I want to say that it was the last weekend. So it would have been a Saturday. We did it on Saturday back then. But we were playing Memphis. Memphis was terrible that year. We swept them. But I remember my last at bat at the Pete, left-handed breaking ball lined it up the middle. And like I said, things you remember and things you're proud of in a way. I had a hit in my first at bat as an Eagle. I had a hit in my last at bat at the Pete, and I had a hit in my last at bat. And those are 3 moments that I just vividly remember. The first hit was a changeup that I lined over the third baseman's head. The one against Memphis was a hanging left-handed breaking ball that I hit up the middle. And the one at LSU, I don't even know how I saw it because I was crying when I went to the plate because I knew it was going to be my last one. Somehow I rolled a 14 hopper through up the middle. But yeah, it's an emotional time, especially for the guys that all of them, and especially the ones that have been here 5 years that have spent so much time and poured so much into the program. And what a 5 years it's been for those guys that have been here for that long. You probably can't look at a better stretch of 5 years in program history as far as hosting regionals and super regionals And so, yeah, I feel it. Like every senior day, it kind of tugs at me a little bit because you think back to when you were in that spot and when it was your last time to step between the lines at the Pete, and it sucks. It really sucks because then you turn 40 and you sit here and do podcasts.
Well, Bake, I mean, you know,
I have something for you, Bump. I
Yeah.
got something for you for this segment. To that point that Sutton brings up, I promised you guys a surprise, and so I figured I'd go ahead and drop it right now because it kind of goes with what we're talking about. So I needed a color analyst this weekend, actually for Friday.
Hold on.
Russum's going to be there Thursday. Russum's going to be there Saturday. But I'm calling on a dude who went yard in his last at bat at Pete Taylor Park. And he's going to sit in the booth with me Friday. And Carson Pato will be the color analyst on the broadcast this Friday. And who better to talk about these seniors? He played with them. And really looking forward to CP joining us. He'll be the color analyst for the entire broadcast. And he's pretty fired up, man. He doesn't, as he said, he doesn't know what he's doing. And I said, well, look, neither do I. So just sit in the booth and we're just going to talk back and forth and pray nobody watches. And then we'll just get up and go home and enjoy the ball game. And so
I feel like he's going to be silent so much that he's not going to be able to talk.
Well, maybe so. We're gonna find out. We're gonna put him in the hot seat and put him over in Russum's chair and let him make his color analyst debut this weekend with us on the ESPN Plus broadcast. And I thought it would be just real fitting as we were talking about senior days, and it was just a year ago for him that he'll be able to really pull some of that emotion out and talk about what a Matthew Russo, what a Colby Allen means, and what it means to wear the black and gold. And he doesn't have to go so deep into memory bank like Sutton many moons ago. Instead, he's gonna jump in there and talk really fresh about what it means and what Pete Taylor Park means and what those senior day moments mean. And so it's gonna be really cool. So I felt like I dropped that nugget on you guys tonight here on the podcast.
That is fantastic. PLo, you want to get us caught up on some of those comments?
Yeah, for sure. Jeff Russo said he's fired up, so fired up that he's driving up now. He's not leaving.
I believe him.
I'm not leaving.
I'm not leaving. Is so excited he sent us that twice. And the Wizard said you still have the burners, Sut.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of love for tuna.
A lot of tuna fish sandwiches out in the on the roost this weekend, I think.
Ferris says he's going to send us one, it looks like.
Yeah, and Baker, I will do my best to try to keep Nitro out of the booth. I don't know if Nitro could handle the booth.
Oh, we don't mind a good Nitro visit. We don't mind Nitro a good visit every now and then. Nothing like turning around on the air and there's a Yingling light in the hand standing on the top step of the broadcast booth. That just livens the place up a little bit.
And he's got Marty's binoculars.
Yep. Yeah. He just goes ahead and grabs Marty's stuff, note cards and everything else.
Oh, good stuff. Fantastic. Hey, well, Bake, but to that point, you have to, you're a fan, but you're a pro's pro.
Well, I try to be a broadcaster first, Bump. I really don't need to be a fan.
Well, but I'm saying, but say, sure. like when Sutton was just talking about his last, at bat and senior day and what it meant to him. I find myself getting a little emotional, and I feel like that probably comes across to you too. But you have to kind of keep it together. So when you're going down there, when you're talking to these guys the day before, maybe doing some post game stuff, how do you balance, remaining kind of professional but also it means something to you. So how does that work?
Yeah, it's a fine line. I've gotten emotional talking to those guys. I helped Cox with the post game show at the Tennessee Super Regional here. So talking to Dickie on the post game show, super emotional, right? There's moments, but I try to capture that stuff. I was on the call when Sutton had his last game, so I remember those days and. Getting to be in the booth with JC for those. And I'm really looking forward to some of it, to be honest with you. We're going to try to fit every senior on this team on the weekend post-game shows So for you people that tune in on the radio this weekend, I'm going to try to get them all. I think there's 8 or 9, total seniors. And so I'm going to try to capture them all, man. I'm going to give them all their moment, and let's just talk about what it means, and and just let them kind of have that moment. And what I try to do is try to find ourselves a moment for Golden Eagle fans to enjoy that maybe I can hopefully, with whatever skill set I've been given and to be able to broadcast, that I can take some of that and go find ourselves some really cool words of wisdoms and true moments. I mean, I don't know that I'll have a dry eye the moment I'm interviewing Colby and Russo this weekend on the post-game show about what it's going to mean to be quite possibly playing at Pete Taylor Park for the final time, or what it's meant for a senior day moment if one of them happens to give us one of those. So you just try, bump my best. I'll try to keep it together. And but yeah, emotions happen. I go back, as Sutton was talking about his senior day moment. My favorite moment that we've ever captured was Scott Berry's final regular season game. That interview on ESPN Plus. We asked him if he would talk to us post game, win or lose. He said yes, and so that just happened to be just an epic day. And I kind of asked the first question, and then Cliff took over, who pitched for 40. And so when Cliff asked that question, you heard the emotion in 40's voice, and it was just a cool moment that we were able to capture. So I'll do my best to try to find us a few of those moments this weekend, I hope, because these weekends are special, man. As Sutton said, it should be a playoff atmosphere for a lot of reasons. Number one, we have a chance to win a regular season championship. Those don't happen every single year. Number two, right, we're fighting to show the world and the country that Pete Taylor Park deserves a host in postseason play. And not only that, we could be showing them that we deserve not just one round of it, but if we're fortunate to get through the regional, we deserve 2 rounds of it. And then to top it all off, as much as these guys have poured into the program, it's time for the program to pour back into these dudes. And so get there, show your support, give them the ovations, give them their moments, give them everything. Because we don't know, while we think we don't know that Hattiesburg is 100% certain getting a regional. So it is quite possibly Colby's last time to toe the rubber, quite possibly Cross's last time, JW's last time. Russo might have his last at bat at Pete Taylor Park. So all of those things we got to make sure we capture. And if you wear the black and gold and you consider yourself a fan or a broadcaster, you want to be elite and you want to have this program be elite, we'll show up and be elite and show these kids what they've done in this program. I mean, you're talking about a bullpen catcher in Russo that's turned himself into an all-teamer in the Sun Belt Conference. And you're talking about Colby Allen, who was headed to junior college to be a catcher, turned himself into an All-American stopper in the back end for one of the best bullpens in the country. And then you've got Cross Sibley, who, in my opinion, is probably going to leave here with the most appearances all time as a Golden Eagle. J.W. Armistead's been elite. Stelly's been fantastic. I know I'm leaving some others out. Urban, Higdon, those guys, man, you need to pour into those dudes because they've certainly poured into us.
No doubt. Well, I tell you what, so Jack's little travel team, we play in Picayune this weekend. Everybody's like, I can't believe you did that on, the final weekend. I said, yes, but I requested early game times on Saturday. So we are playing in Picayune at 8:30 and 10:10. So that's an hour drive. So I told my son today, I said, that means that we have to get up at like 5:30 to be gone by 6:30, to get there by 7:30. And then we'll be back hopefully mid first inning or so of that game. I'm not missing the game, right? We're not missing the game. PLo, let's get right towards the end here. Let's get caught up on where we sit with the baseball rankings. There's a little bit of movement, a lot of consensus right around that top 10 spot. But can you get us caught and maybe like where our RPI sits at the moment, heading into the weekend?
Yeah, and while I read over this, I'm going to throw a couple of the latest comments up there. A lot of them were Baker-driven, so check those out, Bake. D1 Baseball, NCAA has us up at 8. Rob's rankings, we are sitting at number 7. 11.7.
Y'all really give Rob's rankings
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Rob has been on the show.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Rob,
Sign me up.
Rob is better. Baseball America is a clown publication. Rob's is way more.
Oh, that Rob,
you'll
man.
Rob's rankings at 7, 11.7 mid-major has us at 1, rightfully so. Baseball America is at 8. I think they're just looking at Rob's rankings. Perfect Game is number 10. The NCBWA is at 8. Coaches, USA Today coaches at 9, and the RPI is sitting at number 9. Number
Fantastic.
9, like you said earlier,
I will say this,
non-conference.
looking at this, looking at these mid-major power rankings that 11.7 puts out, I hate that word and all that, but when I look at this, I'm looking at a lot of teams that are going to be 2 seeds somewhere, right? And one team that I would like to avoid is like Jacksonville, right? Jacksonville is super tough, sitting at 40 and 11. UTSA, the UC Santa Barbara is going to mess up somebody's bracket. How'd you like to have that staff going into a regional, right?
Look,
I hope it sounds like a great destination for Starkville. They should be. Let's get Santa Barbara and Starkville. They enjoyed their time in Mississippi. They've not left California since. We should let them get a return trip back to Starkville, Mississippi. They'll love the Columbus airport. They can fly straight into there, get themselves ready, and I think it's a great destination place for them there, or possibly Oxford would be wonderful. Wonderful.
Somebody brought up a good point that I had forgotten. This year is the first year when they select and they choose the field, they're actually seeding 1 through 32.
That's right.
So the top 16 are going to get their host, but then, I feel like a lot of times in the past that 2 seed was going to be above all else. They were going to look to try and regionalize some of it, and that's not necessarily going to be the case this year. So, like the top. The 13 through 16 seeds are going to get it's not going to be seeded exactly like as far as 16 getting number 17, but 13 through 16 will get one of 17 through 20, 17, 18, 19, 20, and then the next 4 that would be 9 through 12 will get so there's a group of 4 teams that it's going to be limited to as far as what 2 seed gets sent to those 4 regionals, which I think is a good move, and I think is a step in a positive direction. As far as
and geography should play no part. Like it should not matter where you are. Like it should be your resume should put you where you belong. Like UCLA deserves to get one of the worst 4 of the, if it's 29, 30, 31, 32, they should get one of those teams because they've been the best team in the country all year long. So reward them. Don't put them with, 17 because 17 happens to be from California. To me, man, we travel all over the country, right? Geography is irrelevant. In most schools, charter, right? So they can find their way there rather quickly and efficiently. And I just don't think geography should play too big of a part of it, if at all possible, I do think if one school was crossing the country one week and then they had to do it again and you wanted to maybe take that into account to where they weren't crossing the country across multiple time zones, multiple weeks in a row, so be it. If you want to factor that, but I've heard some talk Mississippi can't have 3 hosts. Why? If Mississippi's got 3 of the top 16 teams in the country, they should 100% get 3 hosts. That's not our problem. Is not that State and Ole Miss is good, and we shouldn't be discounted for that. Or to take State and Ole Miss's stance, they shouldn't be punished because Southern Miss has been really good either, right?
Sure.
There's precedent for that in other states. North Carolina's had 3, South Carolina's had 3.
Absolutely.
So that's malarkey. And so, but I was thinking about this the other day. If the 3 Mississippi schools hosted, I feel like Auburn and Alabama are both going to host. So that's 5 in 2 states. But what you have this year is LSU's not going to host, Tennessee's not going to host, Vanderbilt's not going to host, Arkansas is probably not going to host. So there's a number of other schools that in recent years have hosted. If you want to factor this, we got to give certain number to these regions or these state or whatever. but there's a number of schools that have been hosting that aren't going to host this year. That it's not going to put an inordinate number of host sites in the Southeast. It's just going to be in 2 states.
Sure. No doubt. As we wrap things up here, if you want to go ahead and get your final comments in, I think we're going to wrap this up in the next 5 or 10 minutes. But we do need to get to the Cloverleaf Mall tweet of the week. So if we have any music for that, PLo, you can go ahead and do it. Cloverleaf Mall tweet of the week. The reason we call it that is because he's the GOAT. You can give it to him each and every week, but it is brought to you by Katie Bailey with Dunbar Real Estate. Any house, anywhere, anytime. Call today, 601-408-9980. So there's our music. This week, we decided to go with one, and this is the father of one of the Southern Miss players. That's a good one. So, Matt Stockman, father of Tucker Stockman. You can find him at MattStock10. He commented on one of our posts, so we tweeted out, Virginia is really nice this time of year, and that was after Game 3 when the sweep was done. And Matt Stockman, who gets the tweet of the week, he said, yes, it is. Unless you gotta quote unquote check your inventory from a bad hit in the you-know-whats.
The amount of time they left it on him with the camera, I was
you've got to bake in your situation there. I mean, do you hey, pan away, or is who runs that? Is Marty saying switch to camera 3 or
no? That's Lee Field that would have been doing it for us. We would have. He makes that call. I just talk about what's on the screen.
Yep. Fantastic. But Tucker manned up, right? Hey, that's going to happen sometimes. Reason wear that protective stuff and gear and all that. But
just think if he wasn't.
If he wasn't,
it'd be unfortunate.
Yeah. Odom would get way more playing time. He'd be in there.
I love that y'all did Matt Stockman's tweet of the week. Really well done there, Bump. Way to select that.
Fantastic. Let's see. On the way out the door, so some other news in Sun Belt baseball. Nick Sandlin was picked up by the Minnesota Twins and sent to the AAA club. Graydon Harris has been named the Ferris Trophy finalist. So just to recap where he sits this year stat-wise, 7-1, 3.31 ERA, 85 strikeouts to just 18 walks. Not bad for a sophomore, right? He would be here's a little trivia. He would be the 6th Golden Eagle to win the award. Can you name the other 5 between Bake and Sutton?
Yep.
Okay.
You want me to name them?
Yeah, well, you name one and we'll give Sut a go. And then, or Bake, you can do them all if you want.
I don't know that I can do them all.
Okay.
Tanner Hall.
That's one.
Nick Sandlin.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Wallner.
Nope.
McMahon won it.
McMahon's one. That's 3. Yeah. 2 more.
Well,
one was from last year.
Monastery.
Nope.
Jake Cook.
Nope.
Who was it last year?
Middleton,
duh.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And that leaves one more. This was from the year 2011.
Ooh.
Braley?
Nope.
McCarty?
Nope.
This is a deep pull.
It is. Tyler Kaling.
Oh, wow.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. Know your USM. Hey, if that pops up on the video board this weekend, I think we had something to do with it. For sure.
Can we just pause for a moment and question how in the hell did Matt Wallner not win a Ferris Trophy? I mean, can we just stop for a second?
I remember being pissed.
There wasn't 2 hitters. There wasn't 2 hitters in the country better than that cat.
If you remember, Matt Wallner, I think he made first team All-American and second team All Conference USA. It was something like that. Like he didn't even make the first team.
We must have had some idiots voting back then, man. We had some bona fides. We must have had a couple of burners voting back then.
2019 is right. Ferris.
Yeah, I think so. If anybody does want to attend that, it is Monday, May the 18th is when the ceremony is going to be at 11:30 a.m. at the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame in Jackson.
They gave it to Jake Mangum.
Well. He probably deserved it. He was the hits king of the SEC. I mean, I think he probably did deserve it. But surely Wallner had another year where he could have won it.
Yeah. Oh man, if he just stayed one more season, can you imagine where home run record would be just unreachable, right? For sure.
He's pretty
He was a
good.
finalist in 17 as well. Brent Rooker won it that year. And then Sandlin, in between those 2 years, Sandlin won it in 18.
Yeah, that 18 Sandlin was really good, by the way.
Yeah.
So Tyler Kaling, the only non-pitcher out of USM, never won it, right? Sandlin,
No.
Magmahan, Tanner, Middleton.
Yep.
Cool.
Were you doing the trophy when you were playing Sutton? Did you get to go to that?
No, I wasn't good enough.
I'll be damned. I can vouch. There we go.
Goodness. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, guys. Hey, Trey, heading out the door here, before we get to our shout-outs, is there anything that you'd like to tell the listeners out there? I mean, you're a high school coach. I'm assuming you have some, maybe camps coming up, or maybe you're going to do some, or maybe you're just not doing anything for a while, or anything else that you want to say right before we do our shout-outs and get out of here.
Our kids' camp is in January.
Okay.
Right on cue.
Be on the lookout in about 6 months. But no, like we just finished last week. We got put out, had another pretty good year. So I've reached the point in our year, or my year, where I'm watching the Braves. I'm watching the Eagles. World Cup's on the horizon, so I'm in pretty much relax and kind of chill mode a little bit. We'll get baseball stuff cranked up at the school, baseball wise, in July again. So kind of a laid back point of the year where I love this time of year. I love pay attention to college baseball all year, but this time of year is really fun because you're coming down to the end and you got people jockeying for postseason position, and we're in the thick of it again. And conference tournament week's fun, watching all the games, and then obviously regionals and whatnot. So fingers crossed. I feel like we're in a good spot, but there's nothing better than regional baseball at the peak.
No doubt. And Bake, anything you'd like to add, and then maybe throw in some shout outs there as well?
Yeah, man, I got several shout outs. I've been prepared this time for it. Number one, man, I gotta shout out our TV guys, man, Kirtland and Russum. Man, getting to do this with those two dudes is just a lot of fun. Like, I don't think Carson quite knows what he signed up for yet, but I hope at the end of Friday night that Carson will take that headset off and be like, wow, that was really, really cool. And so, but man, Russum and Kurt are just phenomenal. Kirtland's been such a great addition to the team. He's out of town this weekend, so that's why he's not filling in the 2 games that Cliff can't be there. And those two dudes have made some special memories for me in that booth. We have had some laughs, man. We have had some comments. Kirtland is so fun to have in there because he's been in the dugout with Oz and Trav and Ladd, and so that's a different take, man. He knows those guys and knows their system and knows their plans. He still knows their signs, and so that's really cool too. Sometimes to get in a commercial break and kind of understand what's coming. And so shout out to those guys. I also want to shout out our administration at the school, Sean Jones, Lee Applewhite, Jeremy McClain. They kind of came up with the plan and wanted me to join John Cox on the road. Jack Duggan had stepped aside. He was going more towards what he does best, which is game notes and official scoring and all things Southern Miss baseball, and let me step back into a cool color analyst role and travel alongside of John Cox this year, and it's been phenomenal. I have absolutely loved it. I'm tired. It's a grind. And if I'm tired, just think about the dudes that are trying to hit baseballs and throw baseballs, right? But I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's been special. John Cox means everything to me. And so shout out to JC for having me back in the booth. And then the last shout out is to Jackson Flora. What a memory we got started with this season. Sometimes you get goats in these programs and you get goats in stadiums, and we had a goat, y'all. That was electric stuff this year. And so with that being said, Jeremy, do the right thing. Put Jackson Flora somewhere against a team that we don't want to have to face anymore. And we can chop that team down with the first game with Jackson Flora because no one will beat him. And so what a time, man. It's been It's been a cool season. I think there are some major moments on the way for this ball club, and I just hope this fan base will stop and appreciate the collective season and resume that this team has fought and grinded and put together. I think it's the hardest schedule in the history of the program for the first 45 days, and this team passed it with flying colors. And so I think we should all appreciate that and show our love and buckle up, because I think there's a real moxie to this team, and I think there's a real maturity to this team that if you really think about the fact that they ended their year, I guess down to their final 3 outs last year in that regional championship against Miami, fighting, grinding. Pato hits that homer, and you think maybe there's some magic coming, and to have it end on our field, I think that still resonates with this team, and they'd love an opportunity to celebrate on that field this year. And so I think those moments are coming for this team, and I've believed that from the start, and I'll believe that until otherwise proven wrong, and it'll be okay when that happens as well. And so those are my shout outs.
Wow, very well said. Appreciate those comments very much from both of you guys. PLo, you want to follow that up?
Yeah, thank you. I knew you were going to kick it to me, you jerk. Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to our good friend of the show, Brian Renfro. He is in town this weekend, and I know he'll be playing a little bit of golf in the big tournament at the country club, but he will be at the game Thursday, I believe. And so shout out to him. I was able to spend a little time with him this week, and so it was awesome. Shout out to Eddie Brescher and the Geddes Center. If you have not been out there, I'm sure you could probably buzz Eddie at some point or run into him and get a tour of that place. It is
First class.
One of the best facilities I've ever stepped foot in, and to think that our Southern Miss golfers have that. I told Eddie it's a good thing I don't have any eligibility, because if I was ever there, not that I'm good enough to play, but I would never leave. That place is incredible, especially with DoorDash. I could just DoorDash food there. I literally would never leave. It's the coolest place. So shout out to him for giving me a little tour of the place, and we're eventually going to do a live or an episode out there.
Been talking about that for a while. I don't know why we can't do that, but we just
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Logistics are harder than you imagine. But I also want to give a shout out to Jake Cook. I saw where he was promoted up to Class A, and so I think he's doing well. And all the guys that are moving up the ladder in the minors, shout out. We are all watching, and I'm collecting baseball cards of them. So shout out
there
to
it
those
is.
guys.
So I'll give a couple, and we'll shut her down. Kelly Sanner, a good buddy of mine, known Kelly for years and years and years. He came out to watch Jack play the other night, so I really appreciated that. Thank you very much, Kelly. And then Coach Ben Brewer. PLo and I went to Art of Rue today for lunch, and right towards the end there, Coach Brewer walked up, and we got to hang out with him for just a minute, so that was very cool. And I mean, thanks to you guys. This has been so fun. It looks like a ton of people have stayed on watching us for quite a while, and you know, it's been especially fun for me. This special shout out section, speaking of Art of Rue, is brought to you by Art of Rue. Art of Rue is a locally owned and operated restaurant in Hattiesburg, serving po' boys, gumbo, Reds beans, seafood plates, and more. They are located at 208 North 38th Avenue and can be found on the web at art-of-rue.com. Art of Rue is Cajun comfort food. I had the chicken thighs today, blackened, because PLo told me to do that. Holy crap. And got a side of gumbo. I mean, whew.
Yeah, and if you ever want to bump into a Southern Miss baseball player, just go eat at Art of Rue. You're almost guaranteed somebody coming in that door plays for the Golden Eagles. So go check them out, man. We love that place.
Yep. Fantastic. And thank you guys once again. This episode was brought to you by the premium light beer, Yingling Flight, established in 2020 by the oldest brewery in America. Crisp, clean, refreshing taste, 95 calories, only 2.6 grams of carbs. Pick yourself up some Yingling Flight today. And that is it. Thanks for listening in today, whatever platform you chose to listen in on. Remember, you can follow me at Bumper J. Bailey, Patrick at P. Lowry. Follow us on all the social at To The Top Talk. Don't forget about the mailbag, tothetoptalk@gmail.com. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Tell somebody to the top today. And as always,
William
Southern
Milo,
Miss.
there's some Renos coming. There's some Renos coming.
Woo! Southern Miss.
To the top.
Talk.
Are you
I'm
mad?
late. I'm late. There we go. Sorry.
Their first time. Yep.
I could play
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Alabama, USC, or Notre Dame.
There it is.
You have lots